The night I realized my husband wasn't late from work, but late from betraying me, was the night my marriage died quietly without a scream. My name is Elena Parker, and this is the story of how love turned into evidence, and trust turned into a legal weapon. I married David Parker because he made me feel safe. Not fireworks safe. Not movie safe. Real life safe. We lived in Austin, Texas, in a house that smelled like fresh coffee and ambition. David was calm, intelligent, and disciplined. An operations director for a mid-sized logistics firm. I ran a small online consulting business from home. We weren't flashy. We were stable. Or so I thought. The first crack was subtle. David stopped meeting my eyes when he came home. He left his phone face down always. His laughter disappeared, replaced by silence that felt rehearsed. I told myself it was work stress. Then came the excuses. Late meetings. Business trips that didn't line up. Showering immediately after getting home. A distance in bed that felt colder than rejection. I remember one night asking him calmly, "Are you okay?" He didn't look up. He said, "I'm just tired." That was the moment I felt it. Not fear. Not anger. A quiet certainty that something precious was already gone. The discovery didn't come with screaming or tears. Came with a bank notification. A joint savings withdrawal, $48,000, labeled investment transfer. We never discussed an investment. I checked again. Then again. My hands didn't shake. My chest didn't tighten. That scared me more than panic ever could. That night, while David slept beside me, I unlocked his tablet. Same passcode he'd used for years. Habit is the enemy of secrecy. The emails were clean. Too clean. But the cloud photos weren't. There he was, my husband, sitting too close to another woman in a hotel bar. Her hand on his knee. His smile, one I hadn't seen in months. Then the messages. Not graphic. Not explicit. Worse. Plans. Trust. Intimacy. Her name was Maya. She worked in finance. And she knew exactly what she was doing. I scrolled through weeks of conversations. They talked about money. About moving funds. About starting fresh. He wasn't just cheating. He was preparing to leave with my future. I closed the tablet gently. I went to the bathroom and stared at my reflection. No tears came. Only humiliation. I didn't confront him. That was the hardest part. Every instinct in my body screamed to wake him up, throw the tablet at his chest, and demand answers. I wanted to hear his voice crack. I wanted to see panic in his eyes. But I stayed still. I lay beside him, inches apart, listening to the man I married breathe peacefully, while my entire reality burned quietly. That night sleep never came. Instead, memories did. I remembered our wedding day. His hands shaking as he held mine. The promise he whispered, not for the crowd but just for me. I remembered building our savings together. Skipping vacations, delaying children, telling each other, "We're doing this the smart way." And now I knew why he'd been so calm lately. He'd already left. The next morning, I watched him drink coffee across from me like nothing had changed. He scrolled his phone. He smiled politely. He kissed my forehead before leaving for work. That kiss felt like a crime. I checked the trash after he left. Receipts. Hotel parking stubs. A folded restaurant bill for two. He hadn't even tried to hide it anymore. That's when the humiliation set in. Not because he cheated, but because he thought I was stupid enough not to notice. I began replaying every conversation from the past 6 months, seeing them now with brutal clarity. Every time he discouraged me from checking our accounts. Every time he rushed me when I asked questions. Every time he said, "Trust me." Trust had become his camouflage. That afternoon, I logged into our shared financial dashboard and noticed something else. Small transfers spaced out, always under amounts that would trigger alerts. Careful. Calculated. He hadn't just betrayed me emotionally. He'd studied me financially. That realization changed everything. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't temptation. This was a plan. And the woman he was with, Maya, she wasn't a random affair. She was strategic. The way she talked about timing, about clean exits, about what I would or wouldn't notice. She knew I existed. And she didn't care. For the first time, anger replaced heartbreak. Not explosive anger. Focused anger. the kind that sharpens your mind instead of clouding it. I understood then that if I confronted him too early, I'd lose. He'd lie. He'd cry. He'd hide evidence. He'd spin the story. So I said nothing. I became observant, patient, methodical. I stopped being his wife emotionally, while still playing the role perfectly. And that was the moment the power shifted. He thought he was ahead of me, but he had no idea I'd already turned our marriage into a case file. For 3 days I played my role perfectly. I cooked. I smiled. I listened. Inside I was frozen. Every laugh from him felt like mockery. Every touch felt like theft. I replayed our wedding vows in my head, not with sadness, but with forensic precision. I didn't want revenge. I wanted justice. I met with a lawyer quietly, a woman named Claire who didn't interrupt when I spoke. She asked for evidence. I handed her everything. Bank records, messages, property documents. She leaned back and said something that changed everything. He's not as smart as he thinks. David had moved joint funds without consent. He'd used marital assets to support a third party. He had documented intent to conceal assets. It wasn't dramatic. It was devastating for him. That night I realized something powerful. I didn't need to destroy him. I only needed to stop protecting him. My revenge wasn't loud. It was patient. I documented everything. I backed up files in 3 places. I followed every legal instruction precisely. I waited. David and Maya planned a future built on money that wasn't his to give. I let him believe I was blind. Then I filed. Divorce. Asset freeze. Financial misconduct claim. The court ordered immediate review. His accounts were locked. His credit flagged. His employer notified, because the transfers involved corporate bonuses tied to compliance clauses. Maya disappeared overnight. Her last message to him read, "This isn't worth prison." I never responded. I never needed to. The courtroom was quiet. David didn't look at me. The judge did. Assets were returned. My share protected. Additional penalties assessed. No yelling. No breakdowns. Just consequences. When it was over, David tried to speak to me in the hallway. I walked past him. Because the truth was simple. The man I loved died the moment he chose betrayal over honesty. Months later I sold the house. Started over. Not bitter, aware. I didn't win because he lost. I won because I refused to lose myself. And that was the last day he ever had power over me.
If this story made you feel something, pain, anger, clarity, or strength, you're not alone. Stories like this are why Betrayal Nation exists. Please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and write a comment below. We read every single one, and your voice matters here. Your support truly helps this channel grow, so if you haven't already, subscribe and help us reach 1,000 subscribers. Together, we're building a place where real stories are heard, truth is exposed, and justice finds its voice. This is Betrayal Nation. Thank you for being part of it.